criticizing Ethan lightly, gently, or aggressively, as a matter of fact. Ethan has chosen a path of death and destruction, pretty much, perpetually claiming that he is the victim of unjustifiable attacks by many parties. All of them were fans of his, by the way, for many, many years, or directly were friends of his and content creator collaborators of his, whether it be iDubbbz or even someone like myself. As you guys know, I had a podcast with him for 2 years that ended after October 7, but I'll let him tell that story in a second. But the reason why I chose to watch this is because I wanted to fundraise for iDubbbz's charity that was under attack. iDubbbz will explain his side of things later as well, but him and Anissa basically relinquished control over Creator Clash 3, a boxing charity match that they had put together third year in a row after Ethan got Lena to drop out. She was supposed to fight. Lena is one of the employees at H3H3 Productions, and also another fighter, Harley, also dropped out because he was upset and offended that Ian and iDubbbz dared to criticize Ethan. So I wanted to use the full strength of this community to do something good, to actually fundraise. And we've already reached $30,000 in fundraising before I even started the fundraiser. So that's pretty crazy. And, you know, we'll see. Maybe we'll increase the charity goal later down the line. We could potentially do that. So thank you, Ethan Klein. Once again, your path of death and destruction is hopefully leading to something that is good ultimately. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I present to you the content nuke.
The world would not be the same. A few people laughed. A few people cried. Most people were silent. I remembered the line from the Hindu scripture, the Bhagavad Gita. Vishnu takes on his multi-armed form and says, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds."
We think the Houthi Ansarallah is doing what the
fucking bloodthirsty, violent pig dogs. Why am I held accountable?
God forbid you throw up the fucking green Hamas banner.
Happy birthday to you.
I'm cooked,
All together, happy birthday from Twitch, Hassan. Happy birthday from Twitch.
So far, so good. Prologue. Why am I making this?
Oh, hi there.
That's me. He's watching me play Marvel Rivals in the background. Okay,
Me,
cool.
your old friend, Ethan Klein. It's been a while since we've last spoken. In that time, I've had 3 kids, all boys. I've lost 100 pounds, and I've pissed off 75% of the internet. Probably a lot of you guys, too. Actually talking about there at the NRA meeting that's today in Texas. Someone should bomb. Oh, yeah, and I got a tattoo also, so I'm cool like that now. Left or right, I always thought that, despite our differences, there was one thing we could all agree on. And what was that? That we love America and everything she stands for.
Mom and Dad and apple pie.
Sure, there's plenty to criticize and endless things to improve, but I thought it was about making a more perfect union, not tearing it down.
And marching bands, a pride that only
The thing is, there's something kind of scary brewing in America. Communism.
That's America. That's America to me.
I started a show a couple of years ago with my acquaintance, Hassan Piker. You might remember him from...
Yeah, by the way, I do want to point out something here. This is January 31st, 2025 was when this video was released. January 31st, 2025. Yeah, I disliked it. I ripped it. I ripped it already. Got to do it. Got to do it for the one time. There was something brewing in the United States of America at that point. Do you want to know why I say this? I point out the date. Because the thing that was brewing in America was not communism. I know he's trying to make a joke, right? He's, I think, trying to make a joke. But we were already deep into the insanity of the Donald Trump Burger Reich administration. At this point, I was in Japan, escaping the fascist administration rising to power. But at this point, it had been 11 days since Elon Musk had dropped the Sig Heil twice at inauguration. Okay? We're 11 days into Donald Trump. And the reason why I point this out is because I suspect, regardless of the fact that I didn't watch the context nuke, but I am very familiar with Ethan's commentary on the matter. The reason why I mention this is because Ethan has a lot of issues with figuring out his priorities, because a lot of what Ethan talks about in this video are values that he cares about, values that he wants to defend. Like, he's a fighter against anti-Semitism. He's a fighter against right-wing attitudes and things like that. He's a fighter against extremism on all sides. And yet, it feels like what he chooses to spend his time on betrays that idea, betrays that value, that first principle that he's operating off of. Because if you're freaking out about anti-Semitism on the rise, I would assume that you probably wouldn't make an entire video and use your previously unused platform to attack your former podcast co-host, who you knew was not an anti-Semite, and you, I think, still know is not an anti-Semite, but sometimes you go back and forth on it. And I know his response always is he can care about two things at once. Yes, but the thing that he's caring about is bullshit. And I think my response to this is going to explain to you exactly why the thing that he ostensibly cares about with respect to me, okay, or all the other people that he brings up in this context nuke is ridiculous. Especially because whenever Ethan says, I can care about two things at once, well, he certainly doesn't talk about the other thing that he's supposed to do.
Domination.
I'm taking the objective.
Go time. Capture the objective.
Says, I care about the genocide, for example.
Zone Charlie locked down.
Every waking moment talking about those who speak out against said genocide.
Tactical incoming. Bravo locked. Hey, incoming lethal. Yeah, watch it. Secure it, B. Capturing this objective.
Yeah, kill them. Kill those motherfuckers.
That's not what I said, you dumb fucker bitch.
Which was a
Bravo done. Hey, incoming lethal. Losing Bravo. Pick a fire.
More like Seth Rowe gun.
Still on speed.
That's pretty clever.
who supported the case. And we were all making the show.
Right off the rip. Let me get started.
All right. Let's go.
This is a lot of running. I thought there'd be less running. That's from me, though. Bravo, underway. Tactical in. Hey, incoming lethal. Hey, incoming lethal.
This guy, the clown on the right, educate the audience as Ethan
Whoa,
himself is
put me
getting
in a
educated.
gun.
It seems like I feel
D.
that considering his analysis right off the rip.
Take it in. Oh, I see you. Someone should make a movie about this. Or even better. Hey, incoming lethal!
Let's continue.
Capturing this objective. Hey, incoming
I am not.
That's pretty clever. Are you unsure capturing this objective?
Give me a UAV.
All right, let's call this duty.
Targets marked for LTPR.
Capturing this objective. Down front. Hostile sighted.
Always be education and offering more re-education, certainly. Yeah, there should be an
Capturing this objective.
Bravo underway.
Reactionary. So if you can coming back to reality through the process of
Hey, incoming lethal!
Spotted enemy stun.
I am way too blazed for this right now.
red baiting to be like,
Clear. Snipe.
as friends and
Where's my fucking team?
at this point are now being utilized in a nefarious way to say, ooh, he really scared me with this one. Let's take a look. And in that enforcement mechanism, I think like rehabilitation, which would include re-education as well.
If putting capitalists in re-education camps isn't disturbing enough,
This is, again, very scary. It does not mean, he said capitalists on horribly racist. No, my point is you can understand the importance of education in that regard, right? Because a capitalist is not going to gain incredible amounts of momentum, but a capitalist might actually do crimes in the process. And if that happens, then yes, education and rehabilitation is absolutely a necessity. It is a far more preferable outcome than actually throwing someone into, as Ethan Klein claims here, camps. I never said camps. He said camps. Notice how he's guiding the conversation in the aftermath without me being able to respond, to lead you to believe that I want concentration camps.
started to note if putting capitalists in re-education camps isn't disturbing enough, I started to notice that Hassan was carrying a lot of water for communist states' war crimes and genocides.
What do you call Crimea? I call it a part of
Team deathmatch.
bitch. That's what I call
Destroy the
Crimea. I
enemy.
call it Crimea River, a Russian river. The annex. Respond to.
More like self-rolled gun. Come on, that's pretty clever.
Let's see. The annexation of Crimea is absolutely a justifiable annexation.
More.
Okay. Nope. Just moving on. Got it. Okay.
We're winning. Keep it that way.
Russia, as I have maintained over and over again, is an irredentist kleptocracy. Russia's invasion of Ukraine is on described this process. I fundraised for
Reclaim the lead.
Country at all authoritarian kleptocracy. Why is he presenting this information as though I believe actually in the right here? There is a difference that I have maintained over and over again.
Hostile eliminated.
Military base in
So glad I don't have to run in here. That's all you.
a leadership agreement over.
All right.
Now, okay. As far as my stance on this, there is no defense of taking any historical process under the USSR. This is precisely the reason why Western polls, not even like
We've given up the lead.
quote-unquote democratic process that took annexation before Russia's military incursions in eastern Ukraine as well.
Long gun
People
frag.
that lived in Crimea were rather already. This is part of the reason why Russian annexation of Crimea, while still unjustifiable under international rights and international humanitarian law, was done without a single shot being fired in the process. That's why I always separate Crimea and the annexation of Crimea as opposed to the completely ridiculous and incredibly violent invasion of Ukraine. In the aftermath of the annexation of Crimea, Ukraine shut off the waterways into Crimea by damming the waterways that were designed under the USSR into Crimea, making Crimea even reliant on Russian, making Crimea basically reliant on Russia. If this in and of itself, beyond the unjustifiable land extraction, land annexation, outside of the fact that the land annexation is still unjustifiable, if there was an opportunity for Ukraine to be able to salvage Crimea, it would have taken place already. Okay? I don't know why people still try to I don't know why people still try to relitigate this process when Donald Trump has already offered Crimea with a legalized annexation to Russia. Now, as far as Tibet, let's see what he puts here.
Mandate, like
So
autonomous zone.
China did them a favor.
That was one. I mean, in America, when I say something like this, people get very upset. You know, we talk about the Dalai Lama saying "suck my tongue" or whatever, but like that's not far from the norm in fucking normal Tibetan existence before the Communist Party came in and
So China unilaterally took over Tibet.
Like
Well, their culture. They basically are trying to,
No one is culture is slavery. I don't know why. Like he brought up culture. There is no slavery culture here. From a Western perspective, this immediately rings alarm bells. Where it's like, well, you're making the British Empire had to permanently occupy India because they all have had a barbaric culture or whatever, or that the United States of America had to tame the savages. That is not the argument here at all. Okay? That is not my argument at all. And while there are issues with the continued sovereignty over Tibet that China has had, Tibet's Tibet being a part of the Chinese empire in perpetuity and having some semblance of autonomy throughout even the nationalist process, and certainly under Mao as well, has been the same thing since the fucking 19th century. It was the Tibetans themselves that wanted to rise up against the feudal land ownership. It wasn't simply just Chinese annexation and occupation. It was actually an abolition of serfdom in Tibet. This is no different than other Han Chinese areas that were previously occupied by the nationalist forces, where once the Maoist forces took over, a lot of the peasant class that was under the rulership and even fought alongside the nationalist forces defected. The reason as to why they defected was because they wanted to restructure Chinese society completely. Because when faced with these two options of working with Mao, working alongside Mao, and rewriting the rules of Chinese land ownership, they, of course, chose a universalized land ownership structure rather than going back to the nationalist-dominated previous landlord ruling over the peasant class structure that they existed under. It is not different. What happened in Tibet is also not different. What happened afterwards is, that is a certainty, because Tibetans still, as far as I understand, maintain a lot of love and a lot of support for the existing Dalai Lama, regardless of the fact that the CIA actually used that to their advantage, gave a lot of money to the Dalai Lama. It doesn't matter. Tibetans like the Dalai Lama. That's it. Okay? And there are contemporary issues in Tibet right now as far as Tibetan sovereignty, Tibetan culture, and these are still significant problems. But if we're talking about the way that the Chinese annexation of Tibet took place, it's not the same as China coming in and taming the barbaric Tibetans. Tibetan serfs did not want to be serfs. They did not want to continue existing within the peasant structure where they were being dominated by landlords, their landowners.
Homogenize the culture.
If your culture,
They're trying to spoil the religion and the identity.
the part of feudal warlords and slavery, abolishing that, yes, I do think that is good.
No, China did them a favor.
This is a good way to describe Taiwan as well. The American federal government going into the fucking South and killing, unfortunately not all of them, but a decent amount of slavers and defenders of slavery. This is violent retribution from a powerful federal government that squashed, okay?
Tibet is the South in the Civil War?
Yes. Yes. The previous serfdom structure, and it's not Tibetan culture. I think it's like ridiculous to say. It's like, I think this is akin to saying like black people in the South, it's just a part of their culture to be enslaved. That's not the case, okay? That's not the case at all. The reason why I try to use this analogy here is because it was initially an action of resistance against the feudal serfdom structure in Tibet.
I think I got my shit together now. Maybe not, but
a complete whitewashing
telling myself I am.
genocide against their Muslim minority group, the Uyghurs.
Really?
Don't they have Uyghur death camps? Is that?
It's not a death camp. They were re-education camps, and they are no longer in operation.
Is that
according
true?
to the Associated Press?
Okay.
Everything I said here is correct. I don't know why he put this in the video. I assume he's not going to make an argument against this, and instead simply claim that it's it's a genocide that took place and he's hiding it or something. I don't know. Let's
I
see.
saw this
But yeah,
crazy documentary, and I don't know. I don't know I don't know the surrounding narrative or anything about it, but it was about there was doctors in the area. They would be able to procure organs.
No, that's no.
I'm telling you, they were in China with.
Dog, okay, that one is like Shen Yun.
okay, so he saw a documentary that this was
Still confirmed.
that took place. I don't even remember the full details, but he's saying
All right.
They've taken the lead.
Call this dude.
anti-miscegenation.
Enemy stunned.
Other media outlets that are super and they work alongside
Enemy
the,
grenade!
Send flowers.
That's pretty clever.
A lot more.
Whoa, put me in a gun.
There is an East Turkestan separation movement.
Grand authorized UAV mission.
All right.
In the process
Let's
of
call it.
Incoming subject.
surveillance and also cultural erasure and also concentration camps or re-education camps where they claimed that these were simply vocational retraining schools. Actively and ruthlessly.
All right. Let's call this duty.
Okay. And
Yeah, watch it.
I've never considered this to be appropriate. I'm always critical of this. This is something that a lot of people get mad at me over
flash.
because they say documentary too. This is propaganda. It is still completely unacceptable. It's ridiculous. What I'm doing is recognizing the truth of the matter. So let's take a look.
They got an archangel.
The Associated Press quietly fucking wrote an article that gave a lot of coverage in mainstream. Okay, well, you know, all the conference camps have been closed now. So all the in fucking Xinjiang is very different. And now, you know, it's the tourism hour.
When I got cocky,
The
didn't ya?
Associated Press actually had.
Invading Aztec groups who exist under Aztec oppression and
UAV. Getting UAV 03.
Tibetan communists. And then they fucked them over in the process. But they Maoist movements. That's the difference.
I don't know if it's me, what's going on. Just dog shit.
That was already under Chinese rulership, and the previous Chinese rulership did just simply do whatever they want. You want to fucking chop an ear off? That's great. That is the real problem here, because it's not like Tibet was not under a autonomous part of China. It was an autonomous region that was still under Chinese rulership. It's just that the previous Chinese empires did not care about what the fuck they were doing to the Tibetan serfs, to the Tibetan peasant class. And also on top of that, even the Nationalist Party did not care about that same exact landlord slash feudal serfdom structure that existed in Tibet. That's a major difference, don't you think? That's a major historical difference. Having said that, however, I think that there are still many issues in terms of not giving enough autonomy to Tibet or not cherishing certain aspects of Tibetan culture, Tibetan language. This is a real problem in China. This is a real issue in China, okay? And then there's the second side of this, in terms of the historical, reference point, because you're failing to understand my point here. You said the Spanish fought alongside the anti-Aztec local fighters with the majority of the fighters. Tibet was loosely under Chinese rulership, but never Sinicized. I know. I'm not saying that the Sinicization of Tibet is the appropriate measure. I'm saying it's actually the part that I'm critical of is precisely that. But what you fail to comprehend here is
Hardpoint.
what came in
Pacify the
aftermath
AO,
of this
kill team.
was not a reassertion of the same serfdom structure. They didn't do that.
Hostiles have captured the hardpoint. Hardpoint locked down. Stay on task. Hostiles have the hardpoint.
Colonial occupation, colonial Spanish occupation over the Aztecs. Despite having
More like Seth Rowe gun. Come on, that's pretty clever.
Conducted by the Communist Party of China.
Hardpoint is secure.
Have to run in here. That's all you. Just carry her
Hardpoint
around.
identified.
Content nuke. That's so funny.
Enemy napalm strike incoming.
For me to watch this are now finally coming into like.
Hardpoint active. Hardpoint locked down.
Move!
Now hold it.
These are all AP articles from the last 2
ignoring
years.
Spain practice labor. Like this. It would be the same.
Call
if-
this.
No collaboration whatsoever. No. And Tibetan communists that wanted to practice of serfdom. It's incredibly.
Hardpoint located.
And instead.
Hardpoint is
More
active.
like Seth Rowe gun.
Hostiles have captured the hardpoint.
That's pretty clever.
There is a major difference here. This doesn't mean that there is any sort of. This doesn't mean that like it's. I'm not saying that it is. Okay. Hostile grenade. Conversations.
Put me in a gun.
Hardpoint is secure.
Structure in the same way that like you understand Spanish.
On the move.
Okay.
Enemy deleted.
From the last 2 years. UK independent body reports China sanctioned
More like Seth Rowe.
Hardpoint identified.
It's the
Nice, got the objective.
Hardpoint active. Hostiles have the hardpoint.
that I've seen on
Nothing yet.
if you've read any of these articles, many of these articles
Locked down.
playing a significant role here, okay? Having said that,
Hostiles have captured the hardpoint.
actually correct.
Enemies destroyed your trophy system.
And I don't know what the when these
Hardpoint is secure. Hardpoint located.
Hostile launcher threat.
Moving with Archangel.
More like Seth Rowe gun.
Hardpoint locked down.
Looking for all
Hostiles have the hardpoint.
they just failed to find terror and tourism.
Put me in a gun.
Remains. This is the Associated Press article. In that conversation, Xinjiang, China, the razor wire that once ringed public buildings in China's far northwestern Xinjiang region is now from overhead poles and an eerie eternal wail of this right here is basically the
Hardpoint identified.
this article.
Hostile UAV established overhead.
Their operations. They ended their operations in clips that and
Hardpoint active. Hardpoint is secure.
Devoid of context. This is the reason why I call this the context neutral.
Operating all systems. Net call. Enemy watchdog helo inbound. Hostile RCXD in your AO.
All right, let's go.
Hardpoint locked down. Hardpoint located.
Semtex, front.
Steering me around.
Hardpoint is active. Hardpoint is secure.
Semtex, front. Taking fire. Get back here.
Chinese authorities have scaled back many of the most draconian and
Net call. Napalm strike inbound.
Semtex, front.
Hostiles have the hardpoint.
More like Seth Rowe gun. Come on, that's pretty clever.
Time and time again.
Hardpoint identified.
Whoa, put me in a gun.
Hardpoint locked down.
And I have made that very clear over and over again. I've actually made fun of the people that are
Hardpoint active.
Glad I don't have to run in here.
Hardpoint is secure.
You're steering me around.
act like hogs.
Hostiles have captured the hardpoint.
Going out.
Hardpoint locked down. Hostiles have the hardpoint.
Having said that,
That's pretty
going back
clever.
to if you Google search Xinjiang Associated
Hostile
Press,
sentry turret
that's the
active.
first article.
Watchdog kilo incoming on your location. Hardpoint located.
Take out the watchdog helo.
Archangel is on. Hardpoint is secure.
Take out the watchdog helo.
Hostiles have captured the hardpoint. Enemy UAV inbound.
In favor of this detention.
Enemy RCXD detected.
All right.
I'm simply combating against misinformation. This is what I do. This is my very purpose. Okay? In a lot of circumstances, it's
Hostile LDBR drop detected. Hardpoint identified. We're falling behind, Crimson. Hardpoint locked down.
Real good.
The lead is ours.
That's pretty clever.
Enemy napalm strike incoming. Hold the line, Crimson. This is ours to lose. Hostiles have the hard point.
UAV available for tasking. Your trophy system is out of ammunition.
Hostile RCXD in your AO.
UAV commencing surveillance operation.
Hardpoint is active. Hostiles have captured the hardpoint. Hostiles have the hardpoint.
Mace authorizing Hellstorm deploy. At launch acceptability region. Hellstorm out. Good effect. 3 by Hellstorm.
Enemy RCXD detected. Hardpoint locked down. They were already dead. Just realized. Good job.
Hell yeah! That's how it's done.
Fucking execute them or to imprison them like we do in the United States.
Was this the first match I've actually finished?
And his research is not so great. He doesn't prove his point at all. He brings up all of these other articles that have come out after this conversation in an effort to imply that my article actually did not exist at all, that these things are still happening. But I'm willing to bet that if we were to look at these articles, even if they came after our conversation, we would find out that the articles itself were talking about what China was doing before the mass detention structure that they had. This is a UK independent body. China committed genocide in Xinjiang. An independent, unofficial body set up by a prominent British barrister to assess the evidence on China's alleged rights abuses against the Uyghur genocide concluded Thursday the Chinese government committed genocide and crimes against humanity. This is the only article that says that China did a genocide. The Uyghur Tribunal, made up of lawyers, academics, and business people, doesn't have any government backing or powers to sanction or punish China, but organizers hope the process of publicly laying out evidence will compel international action to tackle Beijing's policies against the Uyghurs, a largely Muslim ethnic group. Tribunal Chair Jeffrey Nice said the genocide ruling was based on evidence that the Chinese government's forced birth control and sterilization policies targeting Uyghurs in the far western Xinjiang province were intended to destroy a significant part of the group's population. The abuse was part of the comprehensive policies directly linked to President Xi Jinping and the highest levels of Chinese government, it said. Now, this is not a real court. This is not the ICC. This is not the ICJ. This is simply, it's not even a people's tribunal, which does happen. Friend of the show, Brace Belden, YPJ terrorist Brace Belden, has actually participated in a people's tribunal.
Overdrive. Green light. Go, go, go. Subject's armed.
All right. Oh, it's duty. Put me in a gun. All right. Let's call this duty.
We got the lead. Now hold it, you sneaky little bastard.
More like Seth Rowe gun.
You're falling behind.
Tactical incoming! Tactical incoming!
Damn it, we've lost the lead.
More like Seth Rowe gun. Come on, that's pretty clever.
On their heels. Hit them hard. Perfect execution. The Pantheon's probably
I'm too old to be playing these fucking games.
Is not defending China. It's only defending China if you have a Steven Crowder style approach to fucking global conflict, where you're like offering certain nuance, but
Makes sense. It only makes.
He still hasn't fucking offered additional claims to this genocide. Now, what's really interesting about
Ethan only cares about Muslims when they either are fighting the Chinese. And that's
and I have to talk about my second position here. There is one thing that I've maintained throughout this entire process, and that is that while Ethan on the one hand talks about how China is genociding the Uyghur Muslims, his position on Israel genociding the Palestinians always goes back and forth. He has sometimes called it a war and sometimes offered concessions to why it truly is a genocide. Okay? So it's very hard to pin him on this position. So you have to focus on what he actually
it's too stupid.
is doing whenever he talks about Israel, what kind of defenses he's engaging with respect to Israel. Is he actually offering nuance to Israel's military actions, or is he simply running defense for Israel's military actions? Okay? Because I did not defend the Chinese government's mass detention facilities. I've called it a cultural genocide before, as a matter of fact, over and over again. Now, one thing that I have to make clear here, and this is another thing that I have talked about over and over and over again. If Israel treated the Palestinian population in the same unjustifiable manner that China treated Xinjiang, Israel would get a Nobel Peace Prize every year going forward. Every Western nation would turn around and cherish how wonderful and how peaceful of a nation state Israel actually is for taming the savage, barbaric Palestinians. They would talk about how incredible Israel is for actually simply doing mass detention and mass surveillance upon the captive Palestinian population and not slaughtering them. If Israel started to do China-style mass surveillance and mass detention tomorrow on all Palestinians, both in the West Bank and also in Gaza, literally every American would be doing tricks on it. They would talk about Benjamin Netanyahu being the most peaceful person on the planet, okay? So think about what it takes for people to say China is doing death camps and as an exterminationist principle and doing organ harvesting, as opposed to how much it takes for people to even come to terms with the genocide that Israel is committing. China never bombed entire city blocks. China never shut off humanitarian aid. As a matter of fact, one of the most ironic statements throughout this entire fucking process was the fact that China was also still committed to developing Xinjiang as it is everywhere else, including in Tibet as well. But the American perspective on this has always been they are trying to develop these areas to continue destroying them, to continue killing them. There was literally an Associated Press article that I read talking about a high-speed rail line going all the way to Xinjiang, basically creating this massive network of high-speed rail that was seen as a negative, that was portrayed as a negative thing. And people in Xinjiang still have
Team deathmatch. All right.
Watch it! System, which needs obviously travel and how much you can internally travel inside of China, but maybe people criticizing me don't even know what the fuck that is anyway, and they're now going to Google
me in a gun.
bring this up or talk about the severity of the structure. Okay, we're at 71,000.
All right, let's call this duty.
The Tiltify donos. Hold on. Where the frick?
Hey, watch it, I'm fragile.
Hold on.
Got the fucking hiccups.
More like Seth's rogue gun.
Is it?
Come on, that's pretty clever.
Oh, here, I'm changing it. I'm done.
Whoa, who put me in a gun?
UAV established overhead. Enemy UAV inbound.
All right, let's call this duty.
One must ask the question, why Ethan Klein refuses to actually engage in any of the things that I'm saying, uses out of context clips, and also simultaneously has a very
Get back here!
Essentially what China does in its worst moments? Exactly. That's why I brought that up. If China did what Israel did to Xinjiang, we would nuke China. Okay? Understand something. If China did what Israel did to the Palestinians in Xinjiang, we would nuke China tomorrow. And if Israel did what China did in Xinjiang as a part of its like rehabilitation or re-education vocational training campaign or whatever the fuck the Chinese government calls it, they would consider that to be a pathway towards infinite peace. Can you imagine where Palestinians will now have freedom of travel into other parts of Israel, into greater Israel, mass detention and the subsequent re-education inside of these like supposed vocational training schools or whatever, but then in the aftermath of that they have full-blown citizenship and access to the same fucking resources? That would never happen in a million years. Netanyahu would get a Nobel Peace Prize. Netanyahu would get every single Nobel Peace Prize for the rest of time. Also, speaking of organ harvesting, I mean, that's, but that's besides the point.
Sense if A, he's being paid, or B, he has the political complexities of a 5-year-old. I know America bad is a meme that people laugh at online, but with Hassan, this does actually seem to be the beginning and the end of his analysis.
2 principles. Let me explain to you. 2 principles that you should keep with you.
Yeah, so this is a classic. This is something that I hear mostly from Sex Pestany and his orbiters. But the idea that, like, my commentary on political matters is simply reduced to America bad is incredibly, incredibly dumb. It's ironic that this is yet another case of pure projection where Ethan is saying, oh, his commentary is just literally America bad. At no point, if I simply stated America bad over and over and over again, how the fuck would I fill 8 hours of space every goddamn day? Why is it that these people never actually make the argument America good? Why is it that these people never actually dive deeper into why I say America bad?
I think I fixed my hiccups.
And this is, once again, obviously a reductive clip out of context where I'm describing a complex position. Let's take a look.
Coming from a person who's Turkish, okay? When you look at a situation in the Middle East, you look at what the local government is and who the Western forces are. Never align with the Western forces. So when I look at other countries, I look at the regional actor, whoever the regional power player is, and then I look at who is backed by the Western superpowers. That's a principle that you could take home with you if you want to actually be moral or if you want to be smart about the way.
As I've said before, time and time again, okay, from both my own personal experiences and I'm Turkish, okay? Turkey is a NATO nation. Turkey is the way that it is specifically because Turkey is a NATO nation. Do you understand? And in that process, during the Cold War, because it was supposed to be a bulwark against the growing socialist movement in the country, they actually suppressed Kurdish liberation movements, socialist movements, trade unionist movements. The American government, by way of the CIA, created a right-wing ultranationalist paramilitary, the MHP party. Okay, the MHP party, the Grey Wolves. This, you know how Ethan's community will fucking call me out for like, oh, he did this. He's actually secretly a Turkish ultranationalist. You can only arrive at that position if you're a fucking moron. I have, again, countless hours of talking about the history of the MHP party and how the CIA did an Operation Gladio like they did in Italy, but in Turkey with the MHP ultranationalist paramilitary groups that they violently sent to destroy any sort of trade unionist, socialist, or workers' movement. Many of those movements comprised of Kurds that wanted their own version of Kurdish liberation movements, as a matter of fact. MHP was responsible for that. MHP is still a part of the governing coalition alongside the AKP in Turkey right now. The ultra-nationalist fascists are still in power in this country, in my country, okay? We have officially reached the boundary of $75,000. I'm very proud of you guys. Okay? There's more. There's more I wanted to get into. Bro, you're making this unwatchable. I know. Context and nuance is silly.
way you analyze other countries, that's one basic principle that you can take home with you. All of a sudden, magically, you are above on your foreign policy analysis. You're going to be better off than 90% of people that look at the situation.
After seeing all of this, I was already getting uncomfortable with our partnership. I started to wonder if I had.
Also, I don't think he saw any of this. He didn't see any of this. He already arrived at the position that I was bad after an entire year of fucking shitting on me with snide remarks as I was actively defending him in the process. For all the fucking foot soldiers that are in here to see the other side of this story for once, welcome. Okay, I have an 8-minute compilation that he couldn't even sit through where I was defending Ethan Klein, including this is, I guess, from what, January 11th, 2024. Ethan was hitting me with snide remarks over and over and over again while I was simultaneously defending him. Okay, I was simultaneously defending him from people that kept bringing him up and saying like, oh, he said this, he said that. I didn't want to be fucking focusing on drama.
The fuck is skins?
I want to entertain the drama perverts because I thought it was irrelevant what Ethan Klein was saying because I assumed that he was just doing goofs and gabs. In any case, we'll get to that in a little bit as well. Okay, the entire premise here so far in the 9 minutes and 39 seconds that we watched is that Ethan is saying Hassan Piker groomed me, a 40-year-old man with the political convictions of a sea cucumber. I had no way of thinking on my own, and this 30-year-old man at the time groomed me into believing dangerous radical ideas. Dangerous radical ideas like what, you might ask? Socialism. Socialism being good. He made too many convincing arguments. He was hot and he groomed me and it scared me. It scared what happened to me. Scary man. Stupid, sexy Hassan.
Any idea who this guy actually is? And then this.
Ain't nothing stupid about sexy Hassan.
Hamas has launched a surprise attack within Israel's border.
This is bullshit. This is a video that he made a year after our podcast ended. Okay. He developed this resentment over the course of the year. He didn't like start hearing me say these things that I was saying directly to him and see it in a different light. This is pure narrative, okay? Pure narrative. He's doing post hoc rationalizations, and I think the reason why he's doing these post hoc rationalizations is because he wants to convince you, the viewer, to being like, he duped me and he was duping you with his scary, elusive, mysterious ways of doing propaganda. The real story of what took place is that in the aftermath of October 7th...
Domination. All targets declared hostile. Happy hunting, Crimson.
We had significant...
Securing Zone A.
That's all you.
Zone A secure. We're winning. Keep it that way.
Potentially the fears of...
Losing Bravo.
Let's call this duty.
Picture was about to happen.
Locking down Bravo.
We're getting captured. Hold them back.
We're losing Alpha. B secured.
Yeah, Israel loves to start the
Securing
history of
Charlie.
Israel right at a part where they feel like they're justified to commit genocide.
Lost Alpha. Taking Alpha.
That's
Zone
where it
Charlie
always
locked down.
began. That's where Israel began.
Lockdown A.
And if this genocide, if this murder fest ever ends,
We're losing Charlie.
then the history will restart. And as soon as they have another reason
All you. You're just carrying
to
your
they're
losing
justified to
all
murder
zones.
Palestinians, that's when history will start again.
Lost A. Lost all zones. Hostile UAV established overhead. They've taken the lead. Locking down Charlie. We locked down.
Supremacist ideology.
Hey, don't worry, bud.
Hostile RCXD in your AO.
Rights monitor and
Zone C secure.
Friendly target.
In 2023, before October 7th.
We've claimed the
Okay,
advantage
this
and
is
now
kind
hold
of
it.
fun. I can do battle.
How could that have happened?
Losing B. Taking A.
Israel. He hated Israel. He called Israel.
Got the objective.
Incredibly right wing. In 2020.
All objectives locked down. Hold the enemy back. Losing A.
As to why he's so pro-Palestinian.
We've lost Alpha.
The shock of October 7th, I noticed a huge increase in Discord, including from his head mom. I was disturbed that Hassan.
Yeah, let's see what these anti-Semitic comments are.
Securing Alpha.
Mindset.
Now, remember.
So glad I don't have to run in here. That's all you. You're just carrying me.
Losing Bravo.
Or I duped this 40-year-old man into I don't know,
We lost B.
radical ideas, and I actually
Securing
radicalized
Zone
his
A.
audience. Not
They're taking C.
actually radicalized on
The word man's doing a lot of work.
radicalized by the reality. Many people
Bravo is ours.
practice of apartheid and genocide before October 7th.
Bravo lost.
Come on. That's pretty clever.
Made a lot of people in the
Enemies destroyed your trophy system.
Taking Alpha.
that the statements
Enemy
from
UAV inbound.
were actually
Taking Bravo
how they
underway.
felt about the situation. Now, is
We're
it
losing
because they were
Charlie.
becoming anti-
Bravo zone secure.
It's because they started recognizing the reality.
They became anti-genocide. Oh, God forbid.
So when Israel was doing genocide, which Ethan again goes back and forth.
Lost C.
Sometimes he thinks it's a genocide.
Taking
other times
C.
He thinks it's a war. His wife certainly doesn't.
Taking A.
Which again, as I talked about in Argentina,
Getting captured. Hold them back.
Zone Alpha captured. Securing C.
statements on this are even more right. Okay?
All right.
There's always
Let's
a
call this
steady
duty.
push and pull here. And of course, his audience,
Losing B.
a progressive audience,
All locations locked down. Dig in and hold them. We lost B.
obviously started recognizing that some of the stuff that Ethan was saying was damn near identical. Than Shapiro was saying, or what
Taking B.
or what
They're
any
taking
number of
C.
right-wing commentators were saying about
Locking down the area.
Location secure. Maintain current posture.
that was
We've lost Charlie.
consequential.
Track 'em, I need eyes overhead.
Decided to no longer, when Ethan decided to no longer be on Twitter, part of the reason why he left Twitter,
Losing Bravo.
all of the anti-Semitism,
Taking C.
anti-Semitism on Twitter after Elon.
We're losing Alpha.
More like Seth
There is a
Rowe
plausible
gun.
deniability there.
Come on,
But the
that's
reason
pretty
why he
clever.
left Twitter was because he dealt with the fact that he was wanting to say something. Okay?
Bravo lost.
About Israel, and it was always
Deploying Archangel.
against Israel.
Hostile UAV established overhead.
That famous moment is, and I'm sure someone can fucking bring it up for me right now. That famous moment is when he looked at
Securing B.
Have visual.
Mark Barg.
Hold them back.
B secured.
Yeah. This is the moment. Enjoy your drugs and being a sex worker. Hamas will
Losing
kill
A.
you on the spot. This is
Losing B.
Nice. Got the objective.
Enjoy your drugs? Fuck you, bro.
I'm in South Beach having fun on
We lost
Down
A.
the area.
All zones lost.
this
Charlie
is
secured.
literally no different than
Any more?
We're losing Charlie.
Killed that guy. What the fuck, man?
is ridiculous. The idea that you
We lost all zones.
fucking close and fucking kill
Locking
you,
down Charlie.
viciously kill you, is ridiculous. Even if
Objective capture underway.
Control zone C.
they were homophobic,
Locking down
even if they were
Bravo.
Anti-sex work. Yeah, I know. A lot of people in underdeveloped nations that have been victim of colonial exploitation.
Bravo zone secure. They're taking C. Losing Bravo.
As a matter of fact, no one deserves genocide, period. It doesn't matter if their opinions are not.
We lost B. Taking Bravo underway.
Simply trying to
We lost down. Taking A. Losing B.
design
Incoming attack!
So glad I don't have to run in here. That's all you.
Lost C.
Requesting recon above!
that violence.
UAV in the turn. We have eyes on.
The standard of violence
Enemy
is
RCXD detected.
by the
Securing C.
Down the air!
which would be
Nice. Got the objective.
Israel has gotten more
Zone Charlie locked down.
UAV MTL 50%. Check.
Losing Bravo.
work stoppages.
Enemy sentry turret detected in your AO.
Enemy turret spotted!
Losing B.
Bombings on top of that. Okay, bombings and bus stations. What could have
Priority
taken place
tasking
in
request
between
received.
that process?
UAV exiting your grid.
Hostile sentry turret.
Bravo lost. Next call. Enemy watch your kilo inbound. We're losing Charlie. Taking B. All zones lost. Hostiles reclaimed the lead. Enemy UAV inbound. Taking Alpha.
Okay.
Eyes on the
Have that back and forth that took place.
Marking down
Securing
the
B. Alpha secure.
Apology here.
Securing. Watch my eyes.
Bravo is ours.
Do you think we forgot? Fucking freak. I'm the freak.
We're losing Alpha.
Here you are still refusing to criticize Hamas. I
Losing
haven't killed
Bravo.
innocent families or burned anyone alive.
Securing Charlie. We've lost Alpha. We lost all zones.
Hold them back!
Securing zone A.
Fully in your corner. What was wrong? What was I wrong?
Hostile UAV established overhead.
UAV available for task.
Zone A secure. We've lost Charlie. Taking C. Hostile care package inbound.
UAV fuel check 50%.
As on the spot is ridiculous. And he has changed from this perspective.
Mission timeline expired. UAV RTB.
You're being outplayed, Crimson One. Step it up. Taking Bravo underway.
The Gaza Strip, which Israel obviously never allowed. Israel destroyed the entire ceasefire. In that process,
Ready to launch. On the move.
B secured.
for Hamas, why the fuck would they do that? Hamas was in the business of kidnapping any
Losing
random
B.
non-Palestinian.
You lost the fugitive. Langley wants to flee.
My own safety and well-being, those aid workers were killed by Israel, not Hamas, like the World Central Kitchen aid workers that were killed by Israel. They were World Central Kitchen. The narrative, by their estimation, that that they were not letting humanitarian aid flow into the Gaza Strip. So they worked with Jose Andres, a very famous activist chef, and his group, World Central Kitchen. And what did they do? What did they do in that process? Because they had created killing fields, their fucking Israeli occupying force commanders labeled the World Central Kitchen aid workers. So yes, the major fear here is not Hamas in terms of going into the Gaza Strip. It's Israel. And the reason why I bring this up is because Ethan still doesn't recognize that. He still, to this day, does not recognize that. He still thinks it's like Hamas is the barbaric, violent force. And not Israel. Israel is a far greater evil in the region than Hamas ever could be. This is the truth. That's it. There is plenty of evidence to showcase this truth. This is just the reality. It's an observable reality that you cannot deny, okay? That's it. If you are a lesser evil voter and you wanted to vote for Kamala Harris, for example, because of the lesser evil voting that you wanted to engage in, then you should be a lesser evil voter and vote for Hamas as opposed to Israel in this process, because Israel has done on October 7 to the entire Palestinian population over and over again for the past 16 months. Israel has so much
confirmed.
Hamas.
Another day in paradise, Black Ops.
And it has used that power for true evil, for death and destruction. It's ridiculous. There is no moral playing field here, but even if the moral playing field was even, just looking at the sheer casualty numbers.
Come on, you're losing this fight.
Who Israel is targeted and who Israel has killed versus who Hamas targeted and who Hamas. A very different reality that does not make Israel look good.
This shit ain't working. We've lost the advantage.
Is what Ethan is saying is true? No, it's not. He's doing the fucking ISIS conflation, saying that like Hamas would throw you off the roofs or whatever. And by the way, before people turn around and say, "Oh my God, Hamas executed this gay person or whatever,"
all right,
first and
let's
foremost,
call this
let me
duty.
explain to you how that process works, as I explained to Ethan as well in our leftovers conversation. As a matter of fact, the last one that we had in the studio, Israel. Gay, queer Palestinians. And this has been the resistance group. Every resistance group
that's pretty clever.
Implemented the practice of kneecapping. ANC implemented the practice of the necks of collaborators, lighting them on fire, a practice called necklacing. Hamas, when they find collaborators that are working alongside Israel, will execute them. This isn't appropriate. I don't think it's appropriate.
Hostile RCXD
Fuck.
in your AO.
Why isn't it appropriate? That's what America would do. The traitors. Why wouldn't anyone else do it? That's what Che did, bro. It must be done.
On the move.
One, to make what's wrong right, and two, to send a goddamn fucking message. Don't forget, traitors get latered.
That is the reason. It's no different than what the IRA did, shooting someone's kneecaps. That's where the term kneecap comes from, by the way, the band kneecap. And that's precisely what the ANC, supposedly under the watchful, humanitarian, peaceful, pacifist gaze of fucking Nelson, in terms of necklacing, putting a rubber wire around someone's neck and lighting it on fucking fire for the crime of collaborating with the apartheid government.
Because fuck those fucks. Scum of the earth.
Damn it, we've lost the lead.
Selling out their own people. Holy fuck. Like, fuck off.
Hostile UAV established overhead.
This is, I think, probably the most honest His feelings are hurt because he's saying things to an audience that has a higher political acumen than he does. They obviously tuned into the frequency of right-wing reactionary propaganda. So, of course, they some of the words that are taking place in this conversation,
All right.
which, by the way,
Let's call this duty.
more informative than this context if you want to understand the actual framework on the matter. You should go back and rewatch debate all the way in like the 17th of October, if I'm not mistaken. Okay.
God damn, fucking 2.5 years ago.
I hear you say things that are in defense of Israel and engage in racist.
Feels like fucking yesterday, man. I remember on a birthday wanting to watch Leftovers. I watched every episode of Leftovers live. Period.
Being fucking racist. Hassan, you're literally playing into Ethan's hands.
Hey, when do I get to drive a tank? Is that a thing?
What the fuck are you saying? Hamas is also right-wing and reactionary, though. We don't need to support them. What is the support here? Like,
They're a resistance group. There's a huge difference between fascism and resistance groups. They can't be held to the same standard. Period.
Who is supposed to rise up in arms against the nation state that is a settler colonial entity doing a genocide? Don't you feel like it's a little suspicious that you constantly are railing against people who are fighting against the genocide? What the fuck are people supposed to do? What would you do? This is a reality that former Israeli Shiite leaders also recognize. This is a reality that Ehud Barak, the former prime minister, on the other what the fuck do you mean?
All right. Let's call this duty.
76 years of colonial occupation? It is crazy. He said this yesterday. What?
I actually wanted to understand the situation. Actually create a lasting peace, one that's not built on like hate.
Whoa, who put me in a gun?
Hila's not a terrorist. Somebody who's like, I want to join the Houthis so that I want to join Hamas so I can like suicide.
Enemy UAV inbound. So glad I don't have to run in here. That's all you. You just carry me around.
Defense Minister paid a visit to Palestine.
The only reason why anyone would join Hamas is to free Palestine. You stupid asshole. You fucking racist piece of shit. Eat a fucking pile of cunt.
In an effort to try and understand what motivates them, Benjamin Ben Elizer's conclusion: they are driven by despair. While condemning the act, Ben Elizer said he felt compassion for one bomber, a young woman who, in a fit of grief over her boyfriend's death, voluntarily went on a suicide mission. The minister, a moderate.
Your trophy system was eliminated.
They will say no to anyone who tries to convince to choose death over life. Stanley Cohen, a lawyer who represented Hamas activists, presented a very different vision of recent history. He portrayed a powerful and
Watch it!
Hamas is not a terrorist group, but a nationalist resistance force. Nationalist resistance
Hey, watch it! I'm hostile UAV established overhead.
This is the primary difference between Hamas and ISIS. ISIS is a better analog for Israel than it is for Hamas. The only thing that you can point to with respect to ISIS and Hamas is the fact that they're both Muslim and scary to you. Hamas is a national resistance group. In terms of their own personal opinions, yes, some are right-wing reactionary. Certainly. Okay, but the goal is emancipation. If there was no occupation, there would be no Hamas. It's that simple.
And someone who's like, yeah.
You're planning on giving up. Do it now. If not, get to work.
You know what I mean? This
Enemy
dude,
UAV
he's already
inbound.
at, like the IDF commits to terror. Yeah. You know what I mean? For sure.
Ethan about this in this very same conversation, but he clearly did not listen. In previous conversation that I had with Ethan, we discussed.
I mean, you try to listen, somebody's too stupid to fucking retain it.
Hostile UAV established overhead.
There are anti-Semites everywhere. Having said that, the broader goals of Hamas and all Palestinian resistance and all Palestinian end the occupation, so Palestinians can be free.
Damn it, they must have hacked our comms.
Period.
Go dark. We'll pick you up later.
Over their heads and mass surveillance and death.
Period.
That's it.
32,000 people in here right now.
Hey, incoming missile!
I love you, but there's only so much I can do.
How can you be surprised?
And I believe Hassan right there. I'm about to cry. He said he loves him. Ethan doesn't know what love means when it comes between like what Hassan is talking about. Real love, real alliance. He said, I love you, but like if you're going to say racist shit, people are going to call you racist. What you're saying is racist. Can you reflect on that? Can you think about that? Can you anything, dude? People calling you racist is not inherently anti-Semitic, dude. That's ridiculous. It's absurd. That's dumb. Being Jewish does not give you exemption from the standards of racism. You can't be a racist if you're Jewish. Period. And Zionism is an inherently racist ideology. But
when your Discord is literally full of fucking
Ethan, I love you, but there's only so much I can do if you're making that argument. You know that, right? Like
Hassan's chat.
Let's see what argument he was making. Does anyone have the clip? Let's see what argument he was making that caused people to respond that way.
I love you too, man.
My statement there is, listen, as much as I try to moderate my community, of course, if your output is fucking insane, of course chat is going to respond to that by going, what the fuck is this arrogant asshole saying? Let me take a look. I don't know if this was right before or right after he implied that anti-Zionist Jews are capos or not, but I'm going to try to fucking find the clip real quick. And if you guys can help me find the exact moment where he was complaining right there and what led to the chat response, we can maybe manage through. We can maybe look through the reasons as to why his feelings got hurt. You all right? We don't have to continue if you don't want to.
Palestinians, and also that simply cynically or in a weird way, just like being like, no, anti-Semitism is like totally fine actually with this one phrase.
But what you won't make any fucking concessions, and it's crazy. Like I make so many fucking concessions to you all the time from my heart, and I listen and I fucking try to move towards your side every time we talk, and I do. But when I fucking try to explain to you.
Oh, you found the actual timestamp?
You care that your chat is calling me racist?
Let's see what it was. Let's see what the actual thing that he said was before. Like, there were plenty of moments where he's...
Listen to my words. Does that change the broader movement and the morality behind Black Lives Matter? Or does that change what...
That's right. It was because he was complaining about from the river to the sea.
Team deathmatch.
So glad I don't have to run it.
Eliminate the enemy. Take him out.
Carrying you around.
It actually is a scary statement, to which I responded with, hey, Ethan, you understand Black Lives Matter. Ask white people what Black Lives Matter means. White people will tell you what Black Lives Matter is a serious slogan. So if you can understand why I don't give a perspective of...
Oh my God!
Using equipment.
More like 7
Sure, shoot the funny man. Real classy.
Say Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter
Put me
doesn't.
in a gun.
Again, it's what's in the saying white lives. Or the thing is like the other lives don't matter. It's in the fucking phrase. Bro. I don't know what to tell you. From the river
To the sea,
in the
Palestine will.
Hope I don't die. That would be. Enemy shooter!
Saying that is the secondary implication behind it.
I'm just telling you.
We've taken control.
I know,
We
but
disagree.
TechCom, launch a
this is how
UAV.
white people feel. I would say I don't care how white
So
people
glad I don't
feel.
have to run in here. That's all you. Marshal requesting CUAV test. Hey, don't worry, bud. You're doing your best.
Jewish people must be eradicated, or Israel must be destroyed, and Jewish people in it must be killed.
A lot of people disagree because you're talking about.
So glad I don't have to run in here. That's all you. You're
Zionists
scaring
disagree.
me around.
Anti-Zionists, on the other hand, don't agree, and they're the ones who are using the slogan. So why would I'm asking you, if I'm not going to ask a white person who is against Black Lives Matter, why would what they feel about the slogan, why would I go to
I'm kind of blown away. Like this whole discussion should have ended here.
Push through!
And when was this? This is not far after October 7th. He was just a piece of shit.
Here we go.
He's not listening. He doesn't want to listen. He's already made up his mind. Hassan should have never hooked up with this fucking piece of shit. This fucking parasite.
Oh, hey, actually, do
Scumbag.
you guys want to buy some powder?
Fascist. All fascists are
Enemy field
scum.
upgrade.
All
Not good.
fascists get the wall. Period. If you disagree, you're already dead.
I'll fight it.
Because they'll kill you. Fuck off.
to them what they think about a Zionist slogan?
I already explained. You don't want to hear me.
This is why people were saying, hey, Ethan, you're fucking racist. Hey, Ethan, you're a Zionist. It is inappropriate. That is in the heart of every single one of my children.
Reloading.
Enemy field upgrade. Not good.
Interest in understanding
More like Seth
the
Rowe
argument
gun.
they're making.
Come on, that's pretty clever. Get revenge. Get revenged.
This is, of course,
We got a rat. Someone find that fucking traitor.
Impact out.
a donate bitch. We're at
All right, let's call this duty.
With peace and love.
For charity. What is it? Charity? Is that what it is?
Driving RTSD. I don't have to run in here. That's all you. You're scaring me around.
Probably begged me to watch this thing for months on end, and only to turn around now when I'm finally watching it.
I'm not made for this. I do ceramics.
Nice.
Ethan begged me to do this, so I'm finally doing it. Everyone needs to calm down. Please stop watching me. What? No,
People interpret it as destruction.
Reloading.
So the fuck what?
but it's not.
That's from the river to the sea is mainland Israel. That's it, man. That's how people see it.
More like Seth Rowe
You
gun.
basically say that's
Come
how
on,
people see it.
that's pretty clever.
Push through!
Get a care package on my grenade. Finish line's in sight. Don't let up.
Enemy field upgrade. Not good.
Like Mark Lamont Hill.
That guy, what the fuck, man?
Fuck right. Fucking right. Let's go.
Attack off. LDBR, on my mark. God damn, I love the chase of victory. Hotel Sierra.
Hope I don't die. That would be super not good.
I always use this 3 from now on just in case I'm going as an undercover Nazi. So the Nazis don't
I never forget this.
Did I? Yeah. Thank you.
Do you feel, chatters who are watching this right now, 16 months into this genocide, if you felt like Ethan was unjustly maligned, do you feel like your opinion has changed now in terms of why people saw this argument? Which is an argument that he still tried to present to me 16 months into a genocide when we had a conversation last Friday. Do you feel like this is reasonable for people to assume he is Zionist? Norm has said that. No, Norm said that he doesn't approve of it because it comes across as something that Jews fear, not even Jews, Zionists fear, but he totally gets it and totally understands it. I only started watching you again because of his claims, and it got me to resub. I tried to use a perfectly coherent narrative that Ethan should understand here, okay? Which is something that he gets. He gets that Black Lives Matter, gets a lot of flack. He is in support of Black Lives Matter. Who cares? Who cares what racist white people think about Black Lives Matter? Just like, who cares about what people who want to defend Israel feel about from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free? Bro, you fucking fell off after the content nuke went from 30K to 53K. Suck my ass. I know, I'm falling. I'm consistently falling off over and over again. It was just critiquing the, Norm was critiquing the
Failing up.
But it doesn't matter. Norm also doesn't give a shit about that phrase. Anyway, now that you know the context of where he drew got this clip from, where is he wrong? What is Ethan's complaint on this one, I wonder? Ethan is a left-wing grifter Zionist. Fuck his content.
Zionist, baby killing.
Bro, nothing is wrong with this. Yeah, this is W. Am I wrong? He's not wrong. Unrelated buying.
Overdrive.
This is edgy shit. Okay, that right there is 100% people fucking people being edgy as fuck. That is fair. He didn't even bring that up, by the way. He just
maybe it is unreasonable that I'm asking.
We got the lead. Now hold it.
To moderate his chat for a friend. He doesn't even know what I'm doing.
Yeah, watch it!
Not something.
Stop aid to Israel. Over Zionism. All these are. Like, the only thing he fucking cares about, the only thing he cares about is his own personal feelings. There is no moment where he tries to understand my position here. There's no moment where he tries to understand why people have this attitude over him. And and this is a Discord chat that he can't see by fucked up. And if that's the most fucked up shit you saw in a fucking open to I'm sorry. I don't give a fuck about this. Can you imagine if I spent the last 16 months constantly talking about my own personal feelings?
Come on, you're losing this fight. It's good.
Babies that are in
hostile shooter.
By their crying fathers after being lasered out of the sky with Israeli munitions that we fucking shipped over to them. So important.
Whoa,
we really
put me
need to
in a
take time
gun.
and cover what I feel right now.
Nice.
5 of them.
What the fuck, man? What the fuck? Right. Of course your feelings don't fucking matter in this process. Back then.
Tactical incoming! Oh, I see you! Hell yeah! Oh my god, this game is intense.
Why people... And he totally did not understand this at all. I'm saying, Ethan, there's only so much I can do in terms of moderating this community, but if you keep your output to this like ridiculous Zionist propaganda nonsense, is a good position in your mind, and
All right,
conversation
let's call this duty.
But yes, outside of your own community,
Push through!
and go, yeah, you're defending Israel. What the fuck is wrong with you? Yes, you're a racist Zionist.
Tactical incoming! When do I get to drive the tank? Is that a thing? Whoa, put me in a gun.
How can you be surprised when your Discord is literally full of fucking...
Ethan doesn't give a fuck if you love him. He doesn't give a fuck if you respect him. He doesn't give a shit. I was a huge fan for a long time, and I like light criticism until he'll fucking scream at you because he's a piece of shit. Fuck you, Ethan. You piece of fucking cunt. Fuck off. Forever. Zionist. 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 Ethan is a Zionist. Ethan is a Zionist. Fuck you, bitch. Fuck you, bitch.
That's pretty clever.
Was constantly inviting hate toward my position, pulling the
Enemy RCXD detected.
as Ethan is
There's an enemy shooter! Hostile eliminated.
Okay? I never did this to
Tactical incoming!
Ethan the Zionist fucking cunt. Cock-sucking fucking loser. Come at me. Sue me. Sue me. Sue me. Sue me. You fucking Zionist cunt. Sue me. You and your terrorist wife can fucking die.
positions, but
So glad I don't have to run in here. That's all you. You're scaring me around. All right, let's call this duty. We've taken control.
Hassan. That's all he's done for years, as a matter of fact.
So glad I don't have to run in here. That's all. We're like Seth Rogen. Now watch it. This shit ain't working. Tactical incoming. I'm here. Call of duty. Call of duty. Let's call this duty.
Okay, I need to show you. This is the clip that I wanted to. This is the clip that I wanted to show on the podcast.
We got the lead. Now hold it. Push through! I'm too old to be playing these fucking games.
Trust me, I don't think you know. I don't think you know many Zionists if you think Ethan is a mega Zionist. Not even
Hey, incoming lethal!
You would still fucking.
But this is ridiculous. Head for decayed location.
Pretty nice to see you again.
Whoa, put me in a gun.
He was lying about that, and he shouldn't have done that. Think about that. Is this an apt comparison? Excuse me.
More like Seth Rogen gun.
Lied and
Come
said
on,
me and
that's pretty
Pokemon
clever.
Oh my god, these fucking losers. These scumbag right-wing fucking incel. Just stinky bitches. Would just fucking, they're just dying for you to be accused of something. But guess what? People like Hassan doesn't have to fucking be gross like fucking losers like fucking Dan Sultan and Destiny. Women send him fucking unsolicited shit all the time. No, Destiny has to beg for his feet pics. Fucking weirdo. Fucking weirdo. son doesn't even need this shit. The son probably has so much fucking poon that, like, it's just like, at this point, how does he even matter? He just living his life. Let the man live his life.
RTXD rolling out.
You're all acting like fucking poon is so important. It ain't to him. It's the son.
No medals for second place.
Obviously.
Crush those dirtbags.
Losers.
Cryptocurrency. The site that we were on, we're actually participating in a fucking cover-up of sexual assault. He fucking said that. Do you think that experience is comparable to? Because that's the comparison.
So glad I don't have to run in here. That's all you. You're scaring me around.
Right? That's what he's saying. Let's play this another.
All mission objectives met. Way to make me proud. This is a weird career pivot for me.
As someone who thought we were fucking friends. I think that's a reasonable expectation of someone who you consider to be a friend.
The problem wasn't that he was.
First, I'll show you this.
Watch out, punching swing, man. Remember me?
And that sort of thing. That stuff is whatever. We can even have that like drama and that conversation live, which we discussed on the episode as well. That sort of stuff we can hash out in public. But there are lines, and I think that XCC knows he crossed it as well. I mean, he admitted it.
You are on another level, man. You ready to see your reward?
Now, ironically enough, Ethan is right now doing exactly what XQC did for years and years in the same exact way, constantly fucking lying about me to his audience over and over again, claiming that I'm actually a piece of shit. I'm a bad guy. I'm a misogynist on this and that, in an effort to basically poison the fucking well so that no one actually comes in here and hears what I have to say and go, oh my God, wait a minute. Maybe that's not the case. So I hope that this will be helpful for you to understand. My position on Ethan has changed throughout time, but while Ethan was actively fucking gaslighting his audience and poisoning the well and constantly claiming I was a piece of shit and bad and not doing enough to moderate my community, which he still maintains is a decent thing to say about me, this is what I was doing instead. Time and time again, I've spoken about how Ethan is not your enemy. A person who cries when a Palestinian child dies is not your enemy. Okay? He's not. I've said these exact words over and over again. I told people in this community and people everywhere that will listen to what I have to say that you have to choose who you are actually angry at. There are people who are so loud and so proud about the ethnic cleansing campaign that Palestinians are experiencing currently. Go yell at them. He's been shitting on you on his members-only streams. I don't care. I don't care. Bro literally shot on you yesterday and his co-worker for saying from the river.
Hardpoint. Engagement windows open. Go, go, go! Hardpoint is secure. We've taken the lead. Stay on task.
Nice!
And neither should you. Okay?
Take your fire!
Will always
That was you reloading.
Hostiles have captured the hardpoint.
Whoops.
Ultimately, he has empathy for Palestine.
Hardpoint locked down.
This is a great argument for why
Hostiles
leftists
have
should
the hard
abandon
point.
Got the objective.
giving pieces of shit benefit of the doubt.
Hardpoint is secure.
Honestly, no one deserves the benefit of the doubt unless they're communist. If you're not communist, fuck you.
Hardpoint identified. Hostiles have captured the hardpoint.
Then 99% of like
We've given up the lead. Hardpoint
unconditional support. I've always demonstrated
Hostiles have the hardpoint.
reaches a boiling point that I will always be kind to those around me that I can lean on. Okay? This has been my policy in perpetuity. You know this if you've been here long enough. I fucking tried with Aiden Ross. Okay? And Ethan is I think he will
Throwing frag. In Israel,
Hardpoint is active. Hostiles have captured the hardpoint.
And instead of just like writing off every single thing people have said, he's very comfortably finding himself in the bosom of like Zionist sentiment, which he could have just as easily done. Times like this, that one is absolutely true.
Whoa.
Trying to tackle it head on and go through the internal conflict.
Hostiles have the hardpoint.
More like Seth Rogen gun.
And his morality.
That's pretty clever.
Enemy shot.
Hardpoint identified.
Because it would make him feel guilty and look bad.
You're falling behind, Crimson. Driving RCXD. Hardpoint active. The hardpoint. Hardpoint is secure. Task counter UAV above. TACOM requesting recon overhead.
Nice, got the objective.
We're winning. Keep it that way.
Thank you for stand up the cancer, y'all. This is huge. I'm so grateful. Hell yeah.
Hostiles have the hardpoint. Hardpoint locked down.
TACOM, I need eyes overhead.
Let's call this dude.
Requesting COAV above.
In this time frame. Just like I can.
Hostiles running through!
Hardpoint located. They've taken the lead. Hardpoint is secure. We've claimed the advantage. Now hold on. Hardpoint is active. Hardpoint locked down. There's a mole among us. Find them. Hardpoint is secure.
Get out, Brad!
And the reason for why I didn't want to give my take on it was because I thought Ethan was redeemable. I thought that Ethan was salvageable. I foolishly thought that he actually see the light. I assumed
You should have listened to your community, Hassan. You should have listened to your fucking Jewish community who knew that he was a fucking piece of shit.
okay? I was wrong.
Trust the people.
Wrong.
Hardpoint locked down.
Nice, got the objective.
Hardpoint identified.
Every single time people are
Requesting recon above.
at that point, what do you say?
Get a UAV on 3.
Because I thought, like, no, he'll
Counter UAV in the air.
Hardpoint active.
correct position on his own terms. Okay?
Hostiles have the hardpoint.
So, of course,
Got the objective.
I would just, you know,
Hardpoint is secure.
Enemy grenade.
Learn your fucking lesson yet?
Hostile eliminated.
Semtex incoming.
Hardpoint located. Hostiles have captured the hardpoint. Hardpoint is active.
that was pro-Israel.
Hardpoint locked down.
Pro-Israel for a bad empanada.
Hostiles have the hardpoint.
Sorry, if bad empanada became pro-Israel, which is never going to happen, I would, I would tackle everything that he's saying head on. Even if they attack you, exactly.
Hardpoint is secure. Hostiles have captured the hardpoint.
If you reached him sooner, do you think there wasn't? Because 2K here, Israel
Hardpoint locked down.
to my family in Gaza. Instead, I'm happy to donate to Stand Up for Cancer. Cancer killed my aunt in Gaza 4 years ago. Israel prohibited entry of her chemotherapy into the Strip. Free Palestine.
Hardpoint
Sorry.
identified. Get me eyes in the sky.
Was mad at me is because his community kept hearing me over and over.
Hardpoint active.
They were
Hardpoint is secure.
Ethan said this, Ethan said
Tackle,
that.
drop care package on my beacon.
They obviously were fans of him.
Authorizing CUAV ECM mission. RCXD moving out.
More like Seth Rowe gun. Come on. That's pretty
Hostile
clever.
RCXD in your AO.
Criticism in one
Hostiles
direction.
reclaimed the
In
lead.
his mind, he thought I actually brainwashed his fucking audience, treating him anti-Semitically, and not because, for many in his audience, due to the sheer depravity of Israel's actions, had a reversal of their opinion on Israel.
Hardpoint located.
My very best to get people to shut the fuck up about
Put me
Ethan.
in a gun.
Proof of it. And the reason why I try to get
Hardpoint is active.
shut the fuck up about Ethan is because
Hostiles have
it's
captured the
irrelevant what he
hardpoint.
had to say in this process. And I maintained that position until his own ego inflated to such a size that he made
Hardpoint locked down. Hostiles have the hardpoint.
More like Seth Rowe gun.
Successfully
That's pretty clever.
pro-Palestinian content creators by falsely smearing them as anti-Semites.
Hardpoint is secure. Enemy UAV inbound.
I think are very valuable. As a
Hostiles have captured the hardpoint.
we are all
Hardpoint identified.
All right. Let's call this dude.
Hardpoint active.
that his heart is
Hostiles have the hardpoint.
More like Seth Rowe gun. Come on. That's pretty clever.
Spend at least 5 minutes.
Oh my god, this game is intense.
Your tactics aren't working. Find another way.
Susceptible. Every single day. I'm still friends with Ethan, by the way. I used to talk to Ethan every day.
Hardpoint locked down.
Throughout the stream. Just say Ethan is a fucking idiotic. Disagreements on this stuff, but Ethan has also personally said it isn't apartheid. What the fuck do you want? As a dude who did go on birthright, he is infinitely more progressive than, you know, a lot of these people that are writing these fucking, a lot of these people that are writing these letters and shit, okay? Please, stop fucking yelling about Ethan all the time. Jesus Christ. Time and time again, I told my adult community to shut the fuck up about Ethan. I even banned the mention of Ethan in this community, and I think still to this day, it is banned. The idea that I did not try to genuinely scale back the harassment that Ethan was experiencing is ridiculous. You do PR for Ethan Klein, who's a Zionist. You do PR for Ethan Klein, who's a Zionist. How can you tell her not to defend a Zionist when you defend Ethan Klein, who's openly Zionist? Are you okay? Ethan Klein called Israel an apartheid state in, I think, 2021. Okay? Ethan himself has been very critical of the state of Israel and has even called it an apartheid state far before October 7th. Okay? I personally don't even care if he's like
October 7th changed everything. Thank you.
I don't care. I genuinely don't care. For me, you know what I do care about? Ethan considering what Israel's doing to be genocidal far before October 7th. Okay? I do care about that. I think that that matters. Especially when he is... You know what's crazy about this? I think this is literally the mentality that some foot soldiers still have.
That is crazy.
Like, they unironically still are trapped in this bind where they think, oh no, he's my comfort character and he means well. He actually means well. He's like, he said it's a genocide. What more do you want? Okay? And I said this even though I could identify the Hasbara, because I thought As someone who is very good at identifying Hasbara, I maintain this position because I thought over time his perspective would shift. Over time, I thought he would be an anti-Zionist. I was wrong. I was totally fucking wrong.
Thank you for admitting that, Hassan. It takes a strong person in here to admit when they're wrong.
The different aspects of social conditioning that play a pretty prominent role in the development of American
No bullshit.
who are very progressive people overall. Okay? I don't care. No matter what he says about me, my community, or my mods, I still... While you were doing this, Ethan was doing things like watching a video called saying anti-Semitism is fake. The Hassan situation. Addressing Hassan and his community. Firmly believe, okay? I still firmly believe that regardless of everything else, regardless of how he's responded to people yelling at him online, regardless of all of that, I place a lot more emphasis and a lot more value on those things that he has said. Ethan fan here, I don't think that Ethan's behavior is honestly dangerous. He's not always right, neither are you. All right, brother, you are irredeemable if you genuinely think that Ethan's year-long conquest of trying to fucking out Palestinian content creators and pro-Palestinian content creators as like rabid anti-Semites who now the Trump administration is basically fucking using as a hit list. If you don't consider that to be genuinely dangerous for an issue that you seemingly care about, if you think that there's a fucking genocide going on in Israel, if you think Israel's doing a genocide, I assume that his focus on the people who are calling that out is a little unproductive. And yes,
I would like to know how Joji feels about
danger is twofold. One is dangerous
Israel Palestine, and if he would give the same face.
Amounts of pressure and potential criminal litigation if need be, but also on top of that, he's gone after fucking people that he's doxxed. He's gone after people with litigation, frivolous litigation. Real life decision makers are feeling no pressure. That's the bad side. Dude, he is a 100 millionaire who's using all of his fucking clout to attack pro-Palestinian content creators for a fucking year and has actually been very successful at deplatforming pro-Palestinian content creators by making erroneous claims about how anti-Semitic these pro-Palestinian content creators are. He made 6 small content creators lose their income for a fucking month. One of them was Jewish. It's his community that is weaponized aggressively against all of his fucking enemies. And in the past, his enemies were people like Keemstar. So no one actually thought of anything about it. No one actually thought it was weird or gross. Or billionaires like fucking Ryan Kavanaugh. Now his enemies are seemingly all of the pro-Palestinian content creators. Whether they're Muslim or Jewish doesn't fucking matter. He literally shit on Sam Cedar the other day. Stop both sidesing this fucking issue. You're out of your goddamn mind.
On. He actually chastised me. For what? Let's see.
Ethan is very frustrated and very emotional in this moment, but doesn't recognize that, like, perhaps a Lebanese woman who's a hijabi in the United States of America could also be very emotional in this exact same moment. You know what I mean? Like, that's what's so... And the reality of the matter is, anti-Semitism is an unacceptable form of bigotry, whereas Islamophobia is a very acceptable form of bigotry. So being the bigger person in this situation, regardless of your feelings.
So anyway, and God forbid you actually read the chat. But
that's it. So I'm still being fucking open-minded to him, and he's mad.
What I'm hearing, frankly, is that anti-Semitism is not really an issue. And so you shouldn't, your complaints are less equal than Frogan's complaints, because Islamophobia is more serious than anti-Semitism. Despite, by the way, the fact that, as I pointed out,
in reality, or not the opposite, because there is Islamophobia, but like this claim that anti-Semitism doesn't exist because everybody knows it wrong, as I perceiving it, is absolutely false. I've never seen more open anti-Semitism in my life.
So it's his stupidity? Like, he didn't understand? He didn't fucking understand what I was saying there? That's not my point at all. How the fuck does his chat watch this, by the way, and not go, hey, Ethan, that's not what he said?
My whole life, the way that it's being.
I called out how toxic Hassan's community is, and I said I remember why I left, and he brought up my chat logs and put me on blast. That was fun.
Normalized by the left and the right, and it's being kind of, in a case like this, he's normalizing it. He's normalizing it, he's green-lighting it. Again,
I'm normalizing anti-Semitism and I'm green-lighting it. You get banned in chat for pushing back? Textbook example of competitive victimhood. There is no fucking victimhood here. He is he's conflating real anti-Semitism with anti-Zionists criticizing him, a Jewish man, not realizing that they're not criticizing him because he's Jewish. They're criticizing him because of what he's fucking saying. That's at the heart of the matter here. That's the whole problem. I made a fucking good point here. I literally said what I'm saying right now. I said, Ethan does not understand that Islamophobia is institutionally permissible, and what he suspects as anti-Semitism is not anti-Semitism, and he should be more gracious to people that he perceives as being anti-Semitic when it's actually over his opinions on Israel. I genuinely think Ethan Klein thinks that anti-Semitism is whatever he feels bad. Got you with the $10. Fuck cancer. No, I'm not done with your little ass yet. All right. Well, I wanted to watch
There's
this.
There's very real anti-Semitism directed towards him, directed towards Hila, directed towards Jewish people across the board, and that fucking terrifies him. And I think that there's a real element there for a lot of Jewish people, especially. Like, yeah, they see anti-Semitism rising, and if at any point do they actually associate criticism of Israel with anti-Semitism, and people like Dan Bilzerian play a fucking formative role in people. All the way up until December 15th, I'm saying like, oh, I think Ethan is misunderstanding and making a conflation, still giving him charity, still giving him grace. This is what he was saying about me at the time.
So you know what? Go listen to Hassan. People say, I need to go listen to Hassan. This is bullshit. Please, go listen to Hassan. Who fucking, by the way, yells at people in chat, calls them Zionist genocidal monsters for suggesting that the hospital wasn't bombed, okay, by the IDF, which is the same fucking thing.
Whoops.
That fans come and tell me. So fuck that. There's nothing wrong with me and Hassan, but there's a lot of shit that on the way that he covers this that I think is fucked up.
Okay, 500 of the last confirmed kills did not come from Israel. So what? Are you just mad only when Hamas kills people then? Because that's what you're saying.
I'm mad when all people die, but I don't think he or many people seem to care when Hamas kills a bunch of their people. I mean, that's what I'm saying.
Dude, I can't believe the counter rocket barrage from the Hamas teams on the ground actually caused these 500 people to die in the fucking hospital. Then what the fuck are you saying? What about the 3,000 people that died in the fucking week prior by Israeli bombs?
I don't understand the theory that like the truth doesn't matter. Someone said, hey, I don't think Israel bombed the hospitals according to the evidence, something like really mild. And he freaks the fuck out.
I wonder why I freaked the fuck out. This is right after Al-Ahly. No wonder his fucking audience understandably thought that he was defending Israel. Can you imagine claiming Israel would never bomb a hospital? I don't understand. This is definitely the doing of Palestinians.
Kill confirmed.
Whatever the fuck Israel said without any evidence whatsoever. Okay?
On the
Yeah, I didn't know this shit. This is my first time seeing it. Yeah, of course people are going to think it's Zionist. This is Zionist propaganda. This is precisely what it is. Oh, I care.
Nice. We're pulling ahead.
Obama Hospital. This 2 days before the courtyard explosion, Israel artillery show, the fucking radiology room in the Al-Ali Hospital.
Hostile eliminated. On the move.
They're all in the pocket of
All right.
That was also a pivotal point for a lot of these fucking dipshits, the apolitical centrist commentators.
Tactical incoming!
Israel would never bomb a hospital. So where are they now? Where are they now? Israel's bombed everything.
Headshot!
Israel sieged every hospital since then. Now, when you hear Ethan Clark's perspective on this matter, he turns around and says,
yeah, watch it!
People under tunnels inside of the hospital. That's why Ethan has to...
That's 5.
That's what he said to Sam Cedar.
More like Seth Rogen.
Talk with
Come
Sam
on,
Cedar.
that's pretty clever.
Tactical. Oh,
Lead dive.
that's why
All right, let's call this duty.
has he covered any of those fucking strikes? No. The only time I've heard him talk about hospitals being bombed was here when he's trying to say that it was actually the Palestinians that blew themselves up. And how fucked up it is that I'm decision on that narrative, which, by the way,
Hostile RCXD in your AO.
Conclusive evidence, and the only evidence that Israel ever presented on the matter.
Sighting in on enemy score streak.
And he goes, "You're a genocidal freak." And then people.
Enemy field upgrade. Not good. Push through!
Like, from you, Dad, I think is covered.
Yeah, this is perfectly representative of his mentality.
All right, let's call this duty.
Learned it from me.
Some of these cases has been not good.
Yeah, watch it!
Operator establishing score streak.
Fans were trying to destroy my life, my wife's life. They were calling me genocidal. For what? But I do think he was contributing to this idea that all Israelis are, occupiers, which is a really dangerous fucking stance to take.
Doesn't matter. Terrible that the people died, but I encourage you to look into where Hamas was firing. You fucking piece of shit! You garbage, monstrous scumbag! You garbage. And then you said it did, but Hamas was firing rockets in the same 2-minute time frame. So why did you fucking lie at first? Huh? Why did you fucking lie?
All right.
The IDF did not bomb that fucking hospital.
You genocidal piece of shit!
People were telling me the same fucking thing. I mean, I know that this isn't good. I don't know if it's a good way to do shit. Even if you're angry and fucking horrible things are.
Oh my god, you know what's really funny? I'm also back then. That's when I was fighting for Palestinian medical assistance.
Hey, it's coming lethal!
Yeah, I don't care.
More like Seth Rogen.
Admitting
that's pretty clever.
Assad views all Israelis as the same because he expects Assad to think about Israelis the same as he does Palestinians. Hear why he's actually so sympathetic to the person who's defending Israel here, by the way. I wonder why.
Net call. Enemy watchdog Kilo inbound.
This was right after the fucking Al-Ali hospital was bombed.
Yeah, watch it!
For an entire fucking year, I was oblivious until this very moment. I've never seen his commentary on this. Of course, people thought he was a fucking genocide. What the fuck are you talking about? Oh my
That's kind of your fault, though.
About what Ethan has to say about
So glad I don't have to run in here. That's all you. You're just scaring me around.
He should have, because he was laying down some Zionist dog shit.
in that same time frame, defending it all the way up until December 15, 2024. That's what Ethan was doing. So
You were defending a Zionist. You should think deep and hard about this.
to liking Ethan Klein is impossible. Of course, plenty of people who are more educated than Ethan on this, or at least have basic empathy towards the Palestinian plight on this issue, arrived at their own fucking conclusion, regardless of my year-long effort to fucking defend Ethan, because I was also oblivious to his actual position. If I had seen his actual position a long time ago, I would have fucking shoved it back down his goddamn throat. That's a genocidal piece of shit.
Field upgrade
okay?
destroyed.
And here's the reality. He looked at all of this, and he could not
So glad I don't have to run in here. That's all you. You're scaring me around.
That it was the reason why I was
Gotta start somewhere.
yeah, Ethan thought this specific hospital was bombed by Hamas, but every other building in a 20
Enemy field upgrade. Not good.
You gonna let a bunch of company assholes beat you? Fight back, damn it!
Okay? Show me all the fucking things. I know we're only in 11
Enemy
minutes.
RCXD
I don't
detected.
care. Give me all the fucking Ethan clips that in this time frame where so we can make an assessment.
Run in here. That's all you.
For people to think that he
More
was
like Seth, bro.
pro-genocide or anti-genocide.
You fucking me? Activate catchback protocol. Get your ass back to base.